Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be making the largest stone statue that I possibly can. And I know this has been suggested before. I'm not sure if I can figure out by who, because so many people have suggested this video, and I'm going to try and make it happen here. We have storm mode available here today, and you can see I'm going through a bunch of replays here, and you'll see what happens. But this was a lot of trial and error here, and a lot of lost matches, but it's relatively entertaining. There may be some boring parts, but hopefully you guys understand where the interest here is. So basically, we are going to try and hold them off while creating a giant stone statue, and I wanted to try and win these matches as well, but it's pretty hard. You can see I'm doing some good damage to my opponent here, but the way my deck is set up, it's pretty hard to actually win the match, because I really don't have much damage. Maybe if I'd thrown in like a meteor, that might have actually won some of these, or like a meteor and a genie. But the whole deck is mostly based around trying to hold off my opponents to get the stone statue as large as possible. So this stone statue is still going here, and I'm doing okay, but I don't have a way to clear these dryads. It's really hard in storm mode. It's hard to clear cards once they get larger. So basically, if you don't clear them instantly, it's really, really hard to get rid of them, and that is the problem with doing giant cards in storm mode. Unless your card can, like, basically annihilate everything like the dragon can, then it can work. But for the stone statue, it's a lot more complicated, and I'm trying to make this thing work here. This one is another match here where I get a lot of skeletons on my opponent, and it looks like I should be able to maybe win it. They end up swapping lanes. I'm actually playing fairly well against them, but unfortunately they had a defensive Reaper ready to go. This was one of the closer matches for me, where I actually had a chance to maybe win it, but unfortunately not enough offensive cards in my deck because it's so focused around trying to put the stone statue up there. Now, it would have been cool to use this in like a regular match or something, but you know, this particular one was a lot easier to do in storm mode, I thought, because of the fact that it can passively, it's growing in addition to the giant growths that I'm putting on it, and in a regular ranked match, I don't think it would get to be that large. Even if I got like 5 or 6 giant growths on it, I don't think it would be nearly as large as the largest statue that I get in this video. So that's why I did it this way. And you can see this one, pretty good attempt. That was a pretty solid attempt. Not too bad. I actually did get that one pretty large. And I've really, I've got a fair bit of experience at designing decks to hold off my opponent. And I think this is the second time I've played this guy, so he's probably getting pretty upset with me for using these troll-type decks. I hope nobody got too upset at me. I could have probably made this video even longer or tried for some better matches, but, I felt like I was wasting people's time with these stupid decks, so, I didn't want to make anyone too upset. There was one person who kind of acted like they didn't really want to play me and just let me win, so I mean, that's the problem with trolling too much, but what can you expect in a game mode like storm mode? It's not like people are necessarily, going full-on competitive with it. So, this one right here, pretty interesting. You get to see Dark Angel and Demon versus Giant Stone Statue. And they're working through it pretty quickly. I do heal it up, but you can see the rate at which they are pushing through that. It actually holds up fairly well, and right here, I managed to get one more giant growth on it. So this one was not bad at all. Actually, that was the largest one so far that we've gotten. Unfortunately, missed the final giant growth. I wasn't able to do it. Would have been pretty epic, but that's not the largest one we'll get here. It's going to still get larger, just you got to be patient here. It did take me quite a few matches, although not as many as I've been trying to work on the tournament with, the championship. I did try a little bit with the championship, and I don't think there's going to be a video for it just because it takes too long. I don't really want to spend that much time. If I have free time, I don't want to spend the amount of time to make that I could make like 3 videos just making one video. I know the championship is cool if I can win it, but there's some elements to it that are kind of luck-based. And unfortunately, it was just taking too long. I'd already invested a couple hours into trying it. I did have one really good deck, which I may use in the future in ranked play. We'll see. And I did actually face Gaming Viking, which is like the first time I've ever faced. I'm pretty sure it was him. I think that's the first time I've ever faced him. And it's interesting that it was in a championship match. So I may show that at some point. I don't know. I did end up winning, but it's funny because that was like the only luck I really had in the championship was that one run where I actually beat him and got to round 7. And beyond that, I wasn't able to do the championship really much. So I think if I kept trying, I could definitely win it. Because the decks I had were good enough. It's just I hadn't played with them for more than like a couple hours each. And it's not really enough time for someone like me to get like fully comfortable with how to play them in every single situation. So I really needed more practice than a couple of hours. Because with my rushing deck that I won the Dark Angel Championship with, I really felt like I only got proficient, like really good at playing it after like maybe 3 or 4 hours at least. That's where I finally felt like I was like good enough with it to actually do really well. And I was working at it here. I mean, unfortunately, I had no way to heal. Like, I was under too much pressure right here. They had all 3 lanes attacking me. I had a decent stone statue, but they were doing so much to it. I couldn't protect it. I couldn't use the gust of wind on it. And unfortunately, they took it out. So I tried. I made an effort in that match to get that done. But unfortunately, this one, though, is kind of cool because you can see there was a giant Executioner, a giant Mud Elemental, and a giant Angel. So did get to see a variety of large cards in that video, in that particular clip. And this was another good one right here. I managed to get a nice move with that spiked statue on the Skeleton Swarm, which kind of delayed their strategy. And then get a nice clear with a Demon. Getting these clears at the start usually means I'm going to get a nice stone statue because it kind of delays their plans for a while, so they have to wait to play some cards. And while that Archer's Tribe is going to be annoying later on, doesn't do too much problem for the time being. So we have our statue going back there. It's doing pretty well. I had the giant growth. I was trying not to tip them off to my plan too much. That's why I hadn't played it yet. But at this point, I was just like, whatever. I don't have an Inferno, so I can't do too much to get rid of. I pretty much know I'm not going to be able to get rid of that Archer Queen. I'm just trying to see, you know, maybe I can delay it a little bit. But unfortunately, everything's like one-hitting my demons. This is not a good deck to try and play a demon against. So I could not really do a whole lot here. You can see how slowly the Archer Queen is eating through that stone statue. So it really does gain a lot of hit points if you buff it up a couple times. Yeah, you can look how many, even if I'd cleared them, look how many resurrections they had. That was like a full-on resurrection deck. Kind of an interesting idea just because the spam troops do get really strong if they stay out there. But yeah, so here it is. Finally, we have approached the match here. I'll go ahead and give you guys the sneak peek that this is the match from the thumbnail. I didn't mean to stick it at the end so much, but it just, you know, I had to because it's clearly so much better than the other clips that, you know, I couldn't just put it at the start because then no one would watch the rest of the video. So, this one, really interesting match, but what happens is, I don't know if they were kind of just letting me do what I wanted. It felt like they were competing a little bit. Maybe their deck was just kind of, it played into the way my deck worked, or maybe they were letting me, you know, do what I was doing. I don't know, but the pace they were playing at was just working so well for me right here. And I get a couple of crucial clears, and I think maybe they just decided to reset after losing that standard bearer. Kind of like reset and wait a little bit, and that bought me enough time to really start getting my cards. So I wasn't running out of cards here. I had plenty of cards to work with. pretty much the entire match almost, except for maybe like the very end. And you can already see my stone statue is almost as large as the other clips combined. And I've got like all the cards I need here to properly hold them off. Especially since, as you'll see, they mostly push down this one middle lane. And what that does is it really allows me to be very efficient with how I'm using my delaying cards. You know, I didn't have to waste too many cards here. And with 3 gusts of wind and a nature heal, I mean, if they're just going to push down the center lane, I'll just keep blowing them back over and over and over again. I don't know why they didn't try to go for the other lanes. That's why I thought maybe they were just letting me do what I was going to do. Because I think they could have beaten me if they wanted to here. And then, I mean, I kind of break out of it. I was like, okay, I'm going for the win here because this is like this is a chance to go for a win. If they're just going to play the middle lane like that. Maybe it was a mistake, though, because it forces them to play the mage there, and then that causes a problem here. Not a huge problem, but it also makes them play the Dryad, and I couldn't, you know, I had a Black Witch. I do play the Demon, but, you know, it kind of took up those cards, so I couldn't play them later on. And then they do end up swapping lanes. So it kind of provoked a battle in the other lanes, and then I'm still working on it here. The stone statue is doing quite well, and I still have a few cards to work with at least. Mostly this blizzard, but I am kind of running out of cards. That's pretty funny. They metamorph another giant statue. This is kind of where it gets pretty funny. I decided to play my Black Witch here. I'm really trying to go for the win at this point, which is hard because I have like no offensive cards hardly other than the Demon. And basically, I can't use the bottom lane since that stone statue is not going to go away. That's way too much hit points. Basically, I can't attack in the bottom lane, and they can't attack in the middle lane. Like, those stone statues are so large at this point that literally neither of us, like, it's like those lanes are completely gone. We can't attack in them. The only one is really the top lane for me that I could possibly attack in, and I don't have any offensive cards at this point, really. And then they start building up in the top lane, and I'm like, uh-oh. I just don't have the cards to do this anymore. So then I was trying to hold out for overtime. I was like, maybe we can win it in overtime. The problem is all their cards are so large that they're just going to like 1 or 2 hit. Well, not 1 or 2 hit, but it'll be pretty fast how they'll break down my castle. So, and with that standard bear, that was causing the hugest problem because really forcing me to use my clears. I mean, my delaying cards, and I had to use those nature heals to try and get out another card, and I managed to freeze there, but I don't have a card. They took out the stone statue super fast, and no, I just couldn't do it. I was so close to getting a win right there. I really had it set up in overtime, but unfortunately, I just didn't have the cards once they had that standard bear. It forced me to waste some of my delaying cards. So anyways, leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments about this video and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel. Check out my merch store in the description if you're interested in some custom phone cases. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.